Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our midweek mindset, or our Monday mindset, or our morning mindset, whenever you're watching this. Last week, we dove into E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals outcome. There is no doubt in my mind that in the last week, the last 168 hours, 10,008 minutes, that you have gotten an opportunity to work on responding to events, because it's one guarantee: life will present us with events. How we respond, now that's more up to us. And so today we're going to practice two crucial skills to help you stay out of the red, stay away from being OBE'd, overcome by events, and rather in the green, responding the way that you want to. And so before we begin, the question that I would love to ask you is, have you ever been in a position where you thought, what was I thinking? Or maybe you're, in charge of some kids and you're like, what are they thinking? But both of these scenarios are matched by that feeling inside of you of like your blood just throbbing, and you can just feel the triggering inside of you. Those are the moments we're talking about today. And the skills that we're going to touch on to help own your response in these moments are press pause and control the controllables. So first, I want to start with the story. I don't know how much you get excited for days off or did, but when I was in my first couple of years of teaching, I could barely hide my excitement for how excited I was from a breather. Now, I liked my students, but when that October break rolled around, I have to tell you, I was excited to get out of there and enjoy some time away. And I'll never forget my second year of teaching. That break in October came around and it was the half day. Now, I also love to bow hunt, and that time of the year is an awesome time to bow hunt. So after the day wrapped up, I said goodbye to my students, and then I took off. First to stop at my parents' house to gather up some gear, and then I was going to go meet my family who was already out at the hunting land to go hunting. Now, on the way to my parents' house, my dad called me. He was already there, but he had left some things in his truck that he wanted me to take out there. So he just asked, hey, would you park your car and you can just leave it at our house and just jump in my truck and take it? Sounds good to me. And so I got ready, and I remember the feeling of like, this is what I've been waiting for. And so I get out, I change vehicles, I get in, turn the music up, start going out, and all of a sudden, bang. Yeah, I backed in to my own car that I parked literally just minutes earlier. Now, I don't know what your moment of what was I thinking is like, but what I can tell you is I have had more than my fair share. And being a teacher, oh my gosh, I know that there are moments where it is, what was I thinking? Or what were they thinking? Were they even thinking? And in those moments, in this work that we're doing in mental skills, unfortunately, our triggers are our best teachers. They show us where our opportunity is to learn and grow. So in that moment, my opportunity was to see what was taking away my attention so that I backed into my own car. But the two skills that I want to encourage you to have so that you're not backing into your own cars or, losing your stuff on your kids or snapping on somebody or going back into your own isolation, whatever your OBE tendency is, the two skills are, number one, press pause. And then number two, control the controllables. So number one, press pause. Shout out to Michelle Tabak, who taught me this a few years back when I was doing a presentation for Ferber Elementary School. I have taught what Mrs. Tabak taught me all around the world, and it's thanks to her of sharing what she used with her students. But I like this image for press pause. You can see it's beautifully written, but the image is just really simple. When your external world speeds up, the image is reminding us that we have control internally. People that aren't disciplined, people that don't understand this training, their internal just matches their external. So if the external world is stressed, their internal world is automatically stressed. And what we want to do is train ourselves to use our breathing to slow down and press pause. A Navy SEAL that I get the opportunity to work with taught me the phrase that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So before we can click it into forward, how good are you at pressing pause and regaining clarity in the situation before you do something that you would regret later on? You can go a long time without eating food, without drinking water, but your breath, man, you can only go for a very short time without it because it is that powerful. Just a few deep breaths where you get to your belly and you let a long external, just a few breaths can kick into gear our sympathetic nervous system, which is the relax and rejuvenate, instead of the parasympathetic, which is the fight or flight mode. Unfortunately, many people live chronically in the parasympathetic mode, which is just breaking down our bodies consistently. So part number one is, can you press pause, even if it's just a microsecond before you respond to your kids when they do something insane, or even if it's just a fraction of a moment before you get back to that colleague or that parent that emailed you and for some reason you're triggered. Or maybe it's 24 hours of taking some good breathing before you get back. But the first challenge is, can you press pause? My challenge for you as you begin this skill is, during your day, how many one breath pauses can you do to just bring yourself back to your body, to where you are? In my average day, I'm probably doing about 100 of these things. So, first off, how can you practice pressing pause? But then, it's not just good enough just to press pause. At some point, we have to shift our focus and decide what we are going to do next. And so the next thing is what I call control the controllables. This is a cliche, old phrase, but it has not lost any power, especially in the world that we're in right now. So the image that we use for this one is two boxes. The internal box is what is 100% within your control, and the external box is what are the things that are uncontrollable or that you can influence. The things that you would love to be able to control, but don't have complete control over. The first thing is to be able to separate these and have an idea of what they are even to begin with. When I first start out training teams and people, they're pretty slow at filling this out, but over time, they get faster and faster and faster. And so, what are the uncontrollables that are on your plate? The events that you're facing on a day-to-day basis to respond to. For me personally, the hardest event or uncontrollable for me to let go of is that my influence on other people isn't controllable. That I can do everything within my power and people can still be like, Lucas, he's ridiculous. Lucas, that you can treat people really, really well and they don't have to do the same back to you. That you can care deeply, deeply about your kids and pour into them, and who knows how they're going to respond. The responses of other people are not inside of your control. But the way that you respond to other people, the way that you handle your breathing, the way that you go about your business, your day, that is the most controllable. How you handle the 86,400 seconds, that's what we're training. How do we take care of that? And then surrender things that are outside of our control. And now it's easy to maybe surrender like the weather. Obviously, it's outside of my control that it's raining today. But when it's those things that are a little bit more closer to controllable, our impact, the test scores that our students have, our results that our administrator gives us for our end of the year review, or we could go on and on with the results that we might want so badly, but can't fully control them. How do you test if something is an influence or an uncontrollable? Just ask, can I 100% control this? If the answer is no, it goes in the outside box. And what we're practicing here is how well can you face outside uncontrollables and continue to press pause and focus on what's inside of your control. Because this box, whether it's for one of our athletic teams, whether it's for a school, or the individuals that make it up, I like to say this is like your heart. And you have to protect it because there are so many things coming in from the outside that are trying to reach in and get your focus. If there's one thing that I'll challenge you to remember from this lesson today, it is where your focus goes, energy flows. I mean, think about that. Where your focus goes, energy flows. How many of you right now, if I challenged you, I said, all right, the challenge is I want you to be upset. You could do it. What would you think about? Or I want you to be depressed. What would you think about? I want you to be anxious, angry. There's something that you could direct your attention to that could help you create some of those feelings. And so the power in your focus is incredible. And in a time right now where there is so much prying for your attention, whether it's news or whether it's people that aren't exactly helpful in your life, or whether it's drama, protect your energy and protect your focus. So, as a wrap up today, first things first, we started with E plus R equals O again. And to help you respond better, number one, press pause. Go back to your breathing and regain control internally. And then the second thing is focus on what we can control. Control the controllables and surrender what we can. I'll leave you with this last final thing. I call this image the performance triangle. And with people that I work with, I tend to look at three areas. Number one, are you choosing? Do you know what you want? The second thing then is once you choose, are you willing to put in the work? If you have big dreams or things that you want, whether that's a connected, great family that you have together, whether that's some sort of results inside the education sphere, or maybe in your side hustle, are you willing to hustle? That is, put the work in the dark. Are you willing to do the unnoticed things? What I found is most of you watching and most of the people that I work with have these first two things figured out. They've chosen that they want to be really good in a certain area or a certain few areas. They're willing to put in the work, almost to a fault. The last one, though, is the one where I spend the most time, and that is in surrender. The reason that surrender is such an important part of the performance is because there are so many things happening outside of your control that you can do everything within your control and still not get the results that you were hoping for. And so surrender is, can you be fully committed to your process of being a great dad, a great mom, a great teacher, or whatever it is, but unattached to the results? Now, when we say control the controllables, it doesn't mean you don't care about the results. When we say surrender the results or surrender the outcome, it does not mean you don't care about them. Surrender is the furthest thing from soft. It is actually an incredible strength. So my challenge for you all, press pause when those events come up. Surrender the outcome and focus on what you can control. Have a wonderful day, everybody.